It began like a whisper, a slight tremor in his hand. But over the years, it became a thief that robbed him of sleep, peace, and power. Ethan Cole, a self-made billionaire from Manhattan, was known as the man with the golden mind. At 45, he owned technology companies across 3 continents. Reporters called him unstoppable. But behind the polished suits and million-dollar smile was a man quietly dying. Doctors had diagnosed him with a degenerative neurological disorder, rare and incurable. It attacked his nerves, left him dizzy, weak, and sometimes unable to speak. He had flown specialists from Switzerland, Japan, and Germany. He had spent over $10 million searching for a cure, stem cell trials, alternative therapy, even underground medical research. Nothing worked. Each night, Ethan sat in his penthouse, staring at the skyline. The man who once controlled empires now struggled to button his own shirt. His assistant, Clara, often found him lost in thought. "Sir," she said gently one evening, "you should rest. Tomorrow's meeting." He cut her off with a weary smile. "Clara, rest doesn't cure what I have. I've tried everything money can buy. Everything." That night, as the rain streaked down his window, he whispered, "If money can't save me, then what can?" He didn't know that the answer was walking the streets below him. A poor old woman named Martha Green. The next morning, Ethan's driver slowed near Fifth Avenue. It was the coldest morning of November. Pedestrians hurried past a frail, elderly woman sitting on the sidewalk with a cardboard sign. "Hungry. Homeless. Please help." Something about her stillness caught Ethan's attention. Her gray hair was tangled, her fingers trembling around a paper cup half filled with coins. "Marcus, stop the car," Ethan said. The driver hesitated. "Sir, we'll be late for the board. Just stop." Ethan stepped out, his tailored shoes clicking on the pavement. People turned. A billionaire kneeling before a beggar was not something Manhattan saw every day. "Ma'am," Ethan said softly, "when was the last time you ate?" She looked up, eyes watery but dignified. "Yesterday morning, sir. I'm not begging for much. Just enough to survive today." Ethan helped her stand and led her into a nearby cafe. "Order whatever you want," he told her. "And take something to go." Tears welled up in her eyes. "God bless you, son. I've sat here 3 days, and no one looked at me like I existed." Ethan smiled faintly. Sometimes, people forget what being human means. They ate together quietly. For the first time in months, Ethan felt something stir inside him, something like peace. As they ate, Ethan learned that the woman's name was Martha Green. Once a schoolteacher, widowed, and left homeless after medical bills swallowed her savings. "I used to teach literature," she said with a gentle laugh. "Imagine that. A teacher who can't even afford a book now." Ethan's chest tightened. He saw in her eyes the same fight he once had, a refusal to give up even when the world walked past. Before leaving, Martha said something that stuck to his soul like glue. "Kindness is the only wealth that multiplies when you give it away." He gave her his business card. "Come to my office tomorrow morning. I want to help you get back on your feet." She blinked, surprised. "Sir, I can't take charity." "This isn't charity," Ethan said. "It's opportunity." As he left the cafe, he didn't know that he had just rewritten both their destinies. The next morning, the receptionist at Cole Industries looked puzzled when a frail woman walked in holding a billionaire's card. Moments later, she was ushered into Ethan's office. "Martha," he said warmly. "Good to see you. I've been thinking. You said you used to teach?" "Yes, sir. English and social studies. I run a non-profit literacy program for inner-city youth," Ethan explained. "We need someone with heart and experience. I think that's you." Her eyes filled with tears. "You'd hire me? Just like that?" He smiled. "No one else I'd rather have." He offered her a full-time role, an apartment near the center, and a small salary to start. As she left his office, she turned and said softly, "Sir, may your kindness return to you in ways medicine can't explain." Ethan chuckled. He didn't realize that her words were more than gratitude. They were prophecy. Months passed. Ethan poured himself into his work and charity projects, but his health kept declining. His hands shook so violently that he struggled to hold a pen. During a board meeting, he nearly collapsed. His executives panicked. The company's stock dipped. Reporters began speculating. That night, Ethan sat alone in his penthouse, clutching a glass of water that trembled between his fingers. "Is this how it ends?" he whispered. "All this power, and I can't even control my own body." Clara found him later that night and urged him to rest. He refused. The next morning, he received a handwritten note on his desk. It was from Martha. "Sir, I know you've been sick. I don't know how to help, but I'm praying for you. You once lifted me when I was falling. Maybe life will lift you too." He smiled faintly, the first genuine smile he'd had in weeks. Somehow, the note brought him comfort, more than any doctor had. 3 weeks later, Ethan collapsed during a conference in Chicago. He was rushed back to New York on his private jet, unconscious. When he woke, the doctors looked grim. "Mr. Cole," one said softly, "we've done everything. The condition is spreading faster than we expected. We recommend you prepare your affairs." Ethan's world spun. For the first time, the man who conquered industries felt powerless. That night in the hospital, Clara sat by his bed. But when she stepped out to take a call, Martha arrived quietly, carrying a thermos of soup and a small, worn-out Bible. She sat beside him and whispered, "You don't know how many lives you've changed, Ethan. You gave people hope. Maybe it's time to let life give something back to you." Ethan smiled weakly. "If only it worked that way." "Sometimes it does," she said, squeezing his hand. "In ways doctors can't explain." She stayed and prayed quietly, her voice soft and trembling. Ethan drifted into the first peaceful sleep he'd had in months. When he awoke the next morning, the pain was gone. His hands no longer trembled. His speech was clear. He could stand without help. He thought it was adrenaline, but over the next few days, tests showed something extraordinary. His nerve functions were normalizing. Doctors reran every test. No medical reason. No explanation. "It's impossible," one said. "We've never seen spontaneous remission like this. It's like your body rebooted itself overnight." Ethan was stunned. He remembered Martha sitting by his bed, holding his hand, whispering those strange but comforting words. The man who once believed only in logic found himself facing something that defied it. When Ethan returned to his office weeks later, everyone was in awe. The man who was dying looked 10 years younger, stronger, full of life. He expanded his foundation into a national movement called Project Human, focusing on job creation and housing for widows, veterans, and the homeless. Reporters flooded him with questions. "Mr. Cole, what happened? How did you recover?" He smiled softly. "Some things in life can't be explained by science or wealth. Sometimes, healing finds you when you help someone else heal." The clip went viral, viewed 80 million times in a week. The story became a phenomenon across social media. #the kindness that healed. One evening, Ethan visited Martha's small apartment in Brooklyn. She was surprised to see him. "Mr. Cole, you look well." He laughed. "Better than well, thanks to you." "Me?" she said, confused. He handed her an envelope. Inside was the deed to a 2-story house and a lifetime stipend. "Martha, you once told me that kindness multiplies. I guess you were right." She covered her mouth, speechless. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "Sir, I don't deserve this." "You already earned it," he said warmly. "You gave me something my money couldn't buy, hope." They hugged. Two souls from different worlds, united by one timeless truth. Compassion heals in ways medicine never will. Years later, Ethan's story became a case study at universities and business schools. The billionaire who found the cure money couldn't buy. Martha retired comfortably, volunteering at shelters and mentoring young teachers. Ethan continued funding medical research for rare diseases, anonymously. One morning, a journalist asked him, "What's your secret to success now, Mr. Cole?" He smiled, looking out at the skyline. "It's simple. When life gives you everything, use it to lift someone who has nothing. That's how you find the cure to the sickness inside all of us, selfishness. The camera zoomed in as he added softly, I helped a poor woman once, and somehow, she helped me live again.